It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman with you until the Vince Show comes your way at 11. And we may be all over the map here today in the next hour, as it looks like there is a podium set up outside the White House where I can't imagine Trump's going outside the White House to say anything to reporters. Last time he had Zelensky there, they sat down in the Oval Office and brought reporters in, but we're not really sure. They keep showing different places saying soon there will be somebody speaking about this. So it sounds like Trump and Zelensky have been meeting for quite some time, in the last couple hours maybe. And then this afternoon he's going to be meeting with European leaders as they discuss what to do with the war in Ukraine and the words of Vladimir Putin with Donald Trump on Friday. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it when it happens. We'll get it to you live. I'm sure the Vince Show will do the same thing if it comes. And Trump has the microphone. Could be some pretty historic stuff, but certainly something we'll want to listen to, so we'll have that for you. Got a lot of great topics on the show today, including, this horrific incident with this truck driver in Florida making a U-turn on the Florida Turnpike that left 3 drivers in a separate vehicle dead is one of the worst stories you will hear in 2025. It is just absolutely awful. And the Royals are hot. We'll check in with Mark Van Sickle on that. Can you believe they've beaten the White Sox at Kauffman Stadium 14 times in a row?
White Sox have been really bad the last couple of years.
Terrible. But about 2 weeks ago, there was a stat out there that the White Sox had a better record since June 1st than the Yankees. So they got better for a while. And now the Royals are beating them up pretty good. That was excellent to see this weekend. The Royals are still alive. Still a long, long way to go, but still alive. We'll start today with something that I know Pete addressed this earlier today that I just couldn't believe. I've lived here my whole life. Summers are hot, but they're not the hottest summers. They're not even close. In fact, many people in America consider our summers very mild compared to what they have. I'm sure a lot of people in Texas. I've heard people in Atlanta. I know people in Florida that are miserable in the summer when it's constantly 99 degrees and 97% humidity. My son lives in Arizona where the other day it was 114. They're at 111 today. And we had a soccer game delayed 3 hours. Now, I've got some strong opinions here because, first of all, when you have a soccer game between the Current and the Pride, you know everybody involved in this is a liberal. I'm just going to say it. No conservative names their team the Current or the Pride. They don't. So we know what we're dealing with. And one of their favorite things to do on the left is to push the climate hoax narratives over and over and over. 2 days prior to this game being delayed 3 hours, the Kansas City Star ran a front page feature on their website about dangerous temperatures and how it can hurt you and how it's so hot. And I asked my wife, Jessica, I said, Jessica, has it hit 100 this summer? She watches the weather a lot. And she's like, No, we've had some days in the mid-90s where the humidity was high and the real feel was 105. We had the one day in Maryville or around Kansas City. I think this was maybe the first week. No, it was in July. It's been at least a month since we talked about this, right, Mark? In Maryville, Missouri was the second hottest place on earth. The real feel was like 119 or something.
Yeah.
But it was 97 degrees.
Yeah, it wasn't even 100 degrees.
Wasn't even 100 degrees. So, yes, that was miserable, and it can be miserable out, and it can be dangerous for people. I'm not saying that it can't. And, yes, you may not sleep as well at night because you'd like it to be 3 degrees cooler in your house. But, man, I think we've forgotten what hot is like. And I think when these people, they're so predictable, when it's your newspaper staff that decides to lead with 95 degrees is just too hot, I don't know if we can survive. And then a soccer match is delayed 3 hours because, get this, we had a high temperature on Saturday in Kansas City of 95. Do you know how much they laugh in Phoenix when they see stories? This always happens in just New York, right? You'll watch one of these national shows. Heat wave hits the Northeast. High temperatures in the mid-90s. There are millions of people in the desert Southwest and all throughout the Gulf Coast that just laugh their butts off that people in the Northeast are worried about a heat wave. They just, it's comical to them. So this was 95 degrees for a high. We'll assume 3 o'clock's about the time the high temperature occurred. That's about right. 3 or 4 o'clock's usually when it's hottest. By waiting 3 hours, they started the match at 6 o'clock. It was 93. It went down 2 degrees. They made everybody wait for 3 hours. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you people doing? I've never heard anything like it. And I think it just comes with this group thing that we've had for 15, 20 years on the left, that they just get dug in on things that just aren't really relevant. I have a niece that's like 13 or 14 years old. I don't know which. And I remember when she was born that she had a year later, they had her first birthday party at the Deanna Rose Farmstead out here. She was born like the first week of July. And we went to her 1-year-old party. And we're like, we can't do it. It was 107 that day. They're like, we can't do this. So, I mean, her grandpa was so awesome. He went and got 2 of these mist machines that have like air conditioners attached to them. They kept the event and we put it on. It was a short birthday party, but we did it. And it was great. I just remember it being 107 degrees that day. That's 12 degrees hotter than it just was Saturday. Or this heat wave where the 10-day forecast after tomorrow, every high temperature's in the 80s. That's the rest of August and into September. So this just in, if I were writing headlines at the Kansas City Star, maybe I'd write a story. Why didn't we hit 100 degrees in Kansas City this year? What's going on? Should we worry that, because remember in the 70s and 80s, they were afraid the planet was freezing over. Then it was warming and they were afraid the ice caps would melt and we got all kinds of flooding and problems. They don't know which it is, but we ain't hitting 100 here this year, folks. And that's not a hot summer in Kansas City for me. Every single day in our history, in the month of August, the high temperature for that day in history in this town is 103 or higher. So we were 8 degrees below the lowest possible high temperature. August 14th, record high in Kansas City, 113. August 15th, record high in Kansas City, 110. 95 degrees. Push back our soccer match. Unbelievable. There's always something else with these folks, and you know that is the case. Okay, so I love Trump put out a really cool post earlier today about mail-in balloting, that we're the only country in the world that does this, and even Putin said, you only lost that election. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he got Putin to say that or whatever. You only lost that election because of mail-in balloting. Mail-in balloting, unquestionably, is full of fraud. There's no question it's full of fraud. The fact that you can allow a ballot to come in a week later after the election day and count it is enough to make it provable there is fraud in mail-in balloting. Period. Oh, we're going to give an exception to election day. We'll wait a week in Nevada. We'll give you 7 more days for a vote to come in. That's fraud. I don't care what anybody says. Even if it's legal, it's fraud. It's voting fraud. So I'm driving in today, and I flip around, and we get the commercial break between the news and John Anthony's update, and I flip it over to an AM station that does conservative syndicated talk all day long and listen to what ABC News has for their update at the top of the hour. And they're like, Donald Trump puts a post on Truth Social, mail-in balloting is gone, and this is their favorite line. His proven false claims that there's fraud in mail-in or machine balloting. Proven false claims? Just the opposite. This is the next time they're going to be wrong. They've been wrong about this one for a long time. But this is no different than, we got to go back to Russia, Russia, Russia. And all the different things that the media, they all just repeat each other and say this provably false claims that mail-in. If one mail-in ballot gets lost, okay, mail-in balloting is fraudulent. Fact. Just one vote. If one ballot is compromised, it's fraudulent, technically. To say it's proven that these are false claims is just outrageous. They're going to be so wrong on this one. Trump's going to be right. They're going to have statistics all over the place because they have control now. Just like they found burn bags of Russia, Russia, Russia evidence, they're going to find all the mail-in fraud. It's coming out. Now, what we do about it, I don't know. I've heard some people say this is a terrible idea. It wouldn't be good for Republicans, but I still think we really only vote for 3 things in D.C. Really, that's all we vote. We vote for a representative in the House, 2 senators, and a president, vice president ticket. That's pretty much it. Why we don't separate those on a separate ballot and federalize it, make sure it's a very simple thing. You can't clutter this up. One year, Arizona had a 21-page ballot that got in the way of all these other things. No. Let's just simplify it. Let's make it simple for people. And some people, that might be the only thing they vote for. They might not vote in their local elections. But I think the ramifications for local elections would be awesome because then they're separated and people would pay attention to the local elections and not just go in there blindly when the president's running and vote for somebody with a cool name and they don't know who they're voting for. I think it might actually be good for local and state elections as well if they were separated out. But I love the fact that he's pushing on this and he's going to stay on it. Trump posted that he's going to, quote, fight like hell to do this because we're the only country in the world that allows it. And he believes this is where he's got to be careful, that the individual states are an agent of the federal government to tabulate the results. He basically says the states work for us, and he may be right on the presidential side, but the states run their own election, and that ballot is full of all kinds of state elections, county, and local. So unless you're going to separate them out, I'm really hesitant to start saying as a federal government that the states work for the federal government. I don't think that should be the case. I think the federal government works for the people of the United States, and I think the states should be allowed to mostly do what they want when it's not just simply involving the United States of America. So I think he needs to be careful on that line. That sounded a lot like a Democrat. The states, we're the federal government. You work for us. You're an agent of the federal government. I don't like hearing that. I don't want to live in a state that thinks it's an agent of the federal government. I really don't. I'd like to have a little more control and know the people that I live around and who my neighbors are in the state that I live in. Maybe you've got some thoughts on that. Give me a shout, 913-408-7957. Welcome back to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Great to have you with us on this Monday. Hope your week is getting off to a great start. We're monitoring things at the White House to see if anything's going on between Trump and Zelensky or if they speak. If and when that happens, you'll hear it right here on KCMO Talk Radio, likely anytime during the day, as we're pretty sure the Vince Show will be cutting into that as well. All right, to the phones we go, and we start today with Fenny in Overland Park. Hi, Fenny. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin, long time. Doing good.
All right.
Hey, I got three things on the temperature. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, high school football camp started on August 15th every year. And we started out the first 10 days with 3-day practices. And then Boy Scout camp, 109 degrees, 10 days in a row. It didn't matter. There was open swim, though. And then the third thing is driving a school bus now and no air conditioning.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said. I will say this, though. I defend the practices today, the way they treat football players when it's hot. There was a time, and I think what you're describing is, if players weren't throwing up on the field, the coaches did not think you were working hard enough. And if you weren't working well enough, they would punish you by not giving you enough water. That was wrong.
That, and they served you salt pills.
Yeah, that was wrong. We did a lot of things wrong.
I'm telling you, I'm lucky to be alive.
You made it, Fenny. Good
we
work.
did the Oklahoma drill.
Yes, the Oklahoma drill. Now they have moms out there tackling their kids. Have you seen this?
Oh, good Lord. Stop it.
No, I'm serious.
I
think it's actually cool as heck. It's like the first day of camp. They invite the moms to put pads and a helmet on, and they stand your son up, and then there's pads behind the son. It looks like a mattress laying on the ground, and the mom just gets to come up
Lord.
and hit their son and tackle him one time. It's fun for team building. I think it's cool.
Oh, man, I need to see that on YouTube.
There's some big mamas out there. I'm telling you, I've seen them. There's some big ladies out there knocking those 14-year-old boys down pretty hard.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Right.
Johnny did something wrong at home. She wants a piece of flesh, man. She's coming after him out there on the football field. I love it.
Hey, they need to bring back the Sisters of Charity then.
Yeah, good enough.
The Downs could they could do a Tommy John pick off in second with an eraser that would just knock you out of your chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Fenny.
I know.
You're awesome.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, they're not letting the dads do it. They're letting the moms do it, which I think is actually pretty cool. Here is Jared in Westwood on KCMO. Hi, Jared.
If a male athlete game of football or baseball or even soccer were delayed for 3 hours, supposedly for weather, the question wouldn't be, why? What's the weather? What temperature is it? The question would be, what's wrong with these athletes? Now, I'm not saying it was a good or bad thing or right or wrong for them to delay their game for 3 hours, but I think this is an admission that women, athletes, are not the same as male athletes.
Well, that's a very strong take. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think that's what they were saying at all. I don't think it's an admission. That's just me, and I respect your opinion. I understand where you're coming from.
Would a man's game? Tell me one man's game that's
I gave you my opinion. I think
temperature.
these liberals were looking for a reason to say the planet's heating up.
I think they were trying to protect their players, and I don't blame them.
I don't.
For
They
that,
didn't protect them at all.
No man sport would ever be delayed.
Instead of 95, they played when it was 93. So they didn't protect them at all. If that was the goal, they did not succeed. They failed miserably. If they really wanted to do that, they would have waited until midnight to start the thing when it was maybe like 85 degrees.
Well,
all right, thanks for the call. I do respect what you're saying. I don't think that's what they were thinking. If they were, that's pretty bad. I mean, they're in women's sports. If they think women are inferior or can't handle it and men can, I don't think that that's what the management of the team was thinking. I think they were thinking it's too hot to play, but these are people that run around always thinking it's too hot or too cold and the world's going to fall apart.
Yeah. Sporting KC, to this guy's point, every time there's been a high heat day, they just have more water breaks. They haven't delayed the game. So I don't think it's because they were women.
I don't either. I think they made a really dumb decision.
Yeah.
And I think look, I don't think they said, oh, hey, let's delay this game and get people talking about climate change. I don't think that was it. I think they're wired to think that way, that this world is dangerous. We're eventually all going to die because we're evil. When that's what you have in your head, when you're a committed liberal and you believe that man is ruining the planet and we are all going to die because Al Gore said we were done by 2020. Thank God we're still here, and so is he. But if that's the way you're wired to think, you're coming into something like a 95-degree day going, we shouldn't be out here playing. This is the planet is so dangerous these days. We can't do this. It's the way they're wired. It was not an outward thing. I'm not saying they had a meeting and said, oh, let's claim global warming. No, that wasn't it. When you're liberal, and that's what your sport is, and everybody running it is liberal, and all your players and everybody around them, all your fans, it's the way you're wired. You're scared. You're scared of viruses. You're scared of everything. Liberals are terrified. They're afraid of everything, including 95 degrees, which is just insane to me. Here's John on KCMO. Hi, John.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Great, thank you.
I had a question for you.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on an electoral college type system for gubernatorial races in states?
Well, I've never thought about
it.
First time anybody's asked me, I think you'd win in Kansas and Missouri. That'd be pretty easy. But
yeah, I just don't understand why states don't have that, to where a candidate has to win majority of counties.
Well, if you set everything up by county, we'd have one party. That'd be that. I mean, the Republicans would own everything.
Yeah.
Like even California and New York. I think Republicans win more counties in those states than Democrats. So that's not going to happen. I don't see how they can change it that. I think the call was his thought process was, how do we get a Republican governor in Kansas? Laura Kelly won twice. Well, how about this? How about no more crappy candidates for governor for the Republicans? I'm like really bad, crappy candidates with baggage. Bad idea. Let's get somebody good. And it wouldn't kill you to run it when the presidential election happens, would it? Instead of the off year where turnout is low? The reason there's a Democrat governor in Kansas is Republicans don't turn out in off year elections. We need to get off our butt, look in the mirror, don't blame the Democrats, go vote even if Trump isn't on the ballot. That's the key. It was interesting listening to Ty Masterson earlier today with Pete Mundo, the president of the Kansas Senate, and he's having an event tomorrow at Hayward's Barbecue. Is it tomorrow? Hayward's Barbecue tomorrow, 11:30 for small business. It's pretty cool what he's doing there. He's also running for governor, and he's now the first person, I believe, on the record, and this was on Monday in the morning today, the first Kansas official to say that they believe both teams are going to be coming to Kansas publicly. He said, in fact, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd bet on it. And then later he said, you know what, I just would I'm going to go ahead and bet on it, that the Royals and the Chiefs are coming to Kansas. The reason I bring this up is a week ago, I got a phone call from somebody I've known for 25 years. They're in the know. They know a lot of people in the political and legal world in the state of Missouri. And he gave me an unbelievable amount of information that the Royals and Chiefs were dead in Missouri and going to Kansas. I did not report this on KCMO or my podcast. I largely kept it to myself. I shared some of it with Pete, and I'll explain why, because I did do what is called a patron podcast. I have some people that are patrons of my podcast. We do a newsletter, and I do special podcasts, and they pay me $5.99 a month or whatever to sign up and get the premium content. And I did tell the entire story there. And I prefaced it all by saying I'm not reporting this. I'm not confirming that I heard this person say that, and I'm not telling you who the person is that said it. I'm telling you I had a conversation with somebody that I know to have been forthright with me and accurate with everything he's told me for 25 years when it comes to Missouri politics and as it pertains to sports. And he said he's got a very good friend that was essentially in the was part of the team in Jeff City with Governor Kehoe that was working with the Chiefs and Royals to get them to stay in Missouri. A key player. And this person had called the person that I spoke to and was just losing their mind. So upset, screaming, hollering loud that it's over. It's dead. It's done. That was a week ago. I then made a follow-up conversation to somebody in the Kansas legislature who wouldn't comment on the record. And I said, well, here's what I'm hearing from Missouri, that somebody close to the governor believes that talks have broken off with Missouri and it's over in Missouri for both teams. And this person in the Kansas legislature said, I've heard the same thing. I said, how long have you heard it? He said, about 3 weeks I've been hearing that. This is a person who's not involved in Kansas in the stadium part. It's not like a major issue or whatever, but it's speaking with other people in the legislature the last 3 weeks in Kansas that they believe they have both teams. And there's people out there beneath the surface that believe in Missouri both teams are gone. Now, nothing's been announced, nothing's been signed, anything can change, which is why yours truly didn't come on a week ago and say, I'm reporting both teams are going to Kansas. But I've tweeted a couple times about it. If I'm betting all over it. And there is all kinds of embers being stoked on 119th and Null for the Royals. And the stat that jumped out at me, and I'll just repeat this for you, the one that jumped out, this was the person that I know very well, who said, the friend that believes that they're gone in Missouri told me, the Royals looked him right in the eye and said, we know every single fan that comes in our ballpark and where they're from, because there's no paper tickets anymore. They know every zip code, every person, they know where. And they said, of people that go to Kauffman Stadium 5 times a year or more, 80% of them live within 5 miles of 119th and Null. These are also the people that have the most expensive seats and the suites and the businesses. Now, I don't know what kind of crap show it's going to be if they build a ballpark there with traffic, or how much homeowners are going to feel completely ripped off and mad that potentially their home values could go down. People don't really like buying houses next to a 3-level stadium with lights on top of it. I live in Western Lenexa, and the house that I was in for 20-some years set up kind of on a hill, and we were facing the west. When I first moved in, we could see the lights at Smiley's par 3 golf course and driving range. It was pretty far off, but they were there. It's a mile or two away, but I could see them. You can occasionally hear some noise or some different things. Lenexa eventually told them they had to take those lights down because enough people complained. Smiley's no longer has those lights. I can't even imagine a triple-decker stadium with lights at 119th and Null right in the middle of all this where all these people live and have houses. But the Royals are looking at the money. I've consistently said one thing about the stadium issue, and I've said this for almost 4 years now, long before I was on the airwaves here, but on my podcast, I've said no owner in baseball and no owner in football has ever turned down 70% of a brand new stadium for free. Nobody's ever turned that down. Now, maybe Missouri could have got to 80% or 70%, which they didn't get there. They haven't gotten there. But if all this juice around this, and Ty Masterson, which is my point today, the president of the Kansas Senate today said he believes, this is the headline of the day, Ty Masterson, the president of the Senate, couldn't have said it more plainly. It's close to a done deal. Bet on this. Both teams will be in Kansas. The president of the Kansas Senate said it to Pete Mundo today. Bet on it. Bank it. It's not signed, it's not done, but take it to the bank. It's happening. That means the Royals at 119th and all. And I can't imagine where else it would be. It would be Chiefs at the Legends. I've also said many times here, and you've heard me say it, the NFL is not renovating stadiums anymore. They don't do it. The money doesn't add up. The Chicago Bears just renovated Soldier Field. Did you see that place last night? It's fantastic. And they're building a new stadium because they're landlocked right there and they can't do the entertainment around it. The Atlanta Braves made $100 million profit last year off of the businesses around their stadium. And the land and the businesses that they developed around their stadium are now worth $2 billion more than 5 years ago. The Royals and Chiefs want the same thing. And they want to be close to where the money is, to be honest. And I think you'd be shocked at the statistics of people that shop at the Legends or go to the Legends or go to the Speedway or, Nebraska Furniture Mart or wherever else is out there. I think you'd be shocked at how many of those people are from Johnson County. Now, I live around that way. I'm over not too far off, like 87 to 435. So for me, it's probably the same distance. I'd be the same distance to a new Arrowhead as I would be to a new Kauffman, and they'd both be a third the distance of where I currently drive. I get it. I understand what these owners want. I've been dealing with these people my entire career. I know what they're about. Yes, they want to win championships, just like the fans. More than anything else, they're businessmen. And both the owners in this town fit that category. And if they have both decided that there's more money in Kansas, then so be it. They are easily going to be able to blame this on Frank White in Jackson County. This is an easy out. If the Royals or Chiefs were ever concerned about moving across the state line, trying to explain to Missourians why they moved, all they got to do is go, Frank White. They don't even have to throw Mayor Q under the bus or anybody in Jeff City. They just got to say Frank White. That's easy. Who wouldn't believe that? I'm not saying it's fair or accurate, but who wouldn't believe it? Frank White beat that vote. Frank White was right. For all the crap that Frank White takes, when that vote was coming around, he said, wait a second, there's no plan here. You're not telling me what this is. I'm a no vote. I can't, this is not fair. And I don't think the people of Jackson County want this. And he was right. The people of Jackson County didn't want it. They overwhelmingly voted no. No, this is an easy out for both owners. They got a new place to go, and Kansas is going to pay 70% of it. I am more certain today, a week later, that what I heard from my source last week was accurate. I am more dug in and certain today and got even more certain over the weekend after speaking to a representative in Kansas off the record, after speaking or hearing Ty Masterson on with Pete Mundo today. There's nothing else out there. There is no other news. The only news about the Royals and Chiefs ballparks right now is both are going to Kansas. That's it. And it's everywhere. Ty Masterson just took the lid off the can. It's out there. The president of the Senate said it. Take it to the bank. Bet on it. We got both teams. Sorry for your losses, Missouri. This will be the third NFL team Missouri's lost. Or if we go way back as a fourth, did they used to have something called the St. Louis Browns or something? Or no, it was baseball maybe. I'll have to look back and go through history. But Missouri is losing football teams right and left. And honestly, I think if Missouri had their choice, they'd have rather kept the Royals than the Chiefs, just because of the number of dates and all. And I think Missouri's a baseball state. I think they love Mizzou football, and they're learning to like the Southeast Conference and things like that. But I don't think the state of Missouri has any real history of being, some great NFL state, losing the Rams and the Cardinals, and now the Chiefs to Kansas, which isn't losing. Your quality of life in Missouri hasn't changed. You just have to drive a little farther to the stadium if you want to go. But it's going to be a lot nicer stadium. It's going to be cool. The guy I talked to also told me it ain't a dome. It's going to be open air like the Bills are doing. Buffalo Bills, where it's really cold, believe they will get a Super Bowl because they are covering 2/3 of the fans. They have snow melting capabilities, and they'll have heaters underneath the, ceiling, whatever you want to call it, that even when it's like 0, they can heat the place for most fans to where it would be like 40 or 45 degrees. That's perfectly fine. And I don't care about how cold it is for the players or how wet it is for the players. I couldn't give a rip. But if you're going to have a Super Bowl, you need a ton of suites, and you need a bunch of seats where it's climate controlled. It doesn't mean toasty 70 degrees like your living room or warmer by your fireplace, but fans are comfortable. They're not sitting there shivering and freezing. We had a really, really – the only extreme weather I can remember here other than precipitation in the last 10 years, I think, is that week of the Dolphins playoff game. That was brutal cold for Kansas City. That was it. And it was very, very rare. So I think they're going to get it right. And I think when they build this stadium in Kansas, I think the Chiefs are going to have an open-air component to this, to where they never give a head coach. That's all I've asked for from the start. Don't give the coach a chance to decide whether the roof's open or not, ever, because every coach wants it closed. Don't do it. It's about the fans. It's about the experience. And what I'm hearing is that's exactly what they're going to do. That's what they're doing in all kinds of places. They got all kinds of technology they didn't have before and ways to warm things up and keep fans comfortable, not warm necessarily, but certainly comfortable. Everything I'm hearing has me really excited, other than the nightmare that will be 119th and Knoll, 81 times a year. Driving your car around there will be a nightmare. Working near there will be a nightmare. Living near there will be a nightmare. There's no way around that. It's going to be a train wreck for a lot of people. But the Royals, if that's where they're going, if that's what they decide to do is 119th and Knoll, they're going to make a lot of money because they're going to be close to a lot of money. And those people that went to 5 games a year are going to go to 10. And people that went to 10 are going to go to 20. They're going to sell a lot more suites, a lot more season tickets, a lot more everything. And the one good thing about putting it there, I can see hundreds of kids going to ball games all the time on their own. Like 16-year-olds, date night. Yes, I live a mile away. You could walk. You know how many high school students, junior high and high school students live within a mile of there? That could walk, ride their bikes or their scooters or whatever. This is what the Royals want. They're trying to find young fans. Baseball's trying to find young fans. So the Braves go to the suburbs and they get around the richer people with kids and get kids to the ballpark again. That's what they're trying to do. You ever watch a Royals game on TV? You ever go to one? Bunch of old white people. That's what's at Royals games, a bunch of old white people. I know. I like going. I'm an old white guy. I like going. But they got to find something younger. They need the next generation. And all of their cries and appeals to minorities and different populations has not really worked in baseball very much. It just hasn't worked. They haven't gotten a lot of traction with finding those fans. So, yes, the president of the Kansas Senate on KCMO Talk Radio today said, take it to the bank. Go bet on it. The Royals and the Chiefs are both moving to Kansas. 913-408-7957. Uncanceled continues. We'll check in with Mark about those red-hot Royals and more next. We're back on Uncanceled, and the sickest story of the weekend is this driver in Florida that was driving the big rig and did a U-turn on the Florida Turnpike. And as he did it, obviously that's illegal. As he did it, another car went literally like under the truck, and I believe the drivers and his 2 passengers were decapitated. They were killed instantly. This is just horrific. The driver of the truck's name was Harjinder Singh. He's an illegal alien that was given a CDL license in California. He entered the United States illegally in 2018, was picked up by Border Patrol as a gotaway, and released. We're going to need state or federal laws to protect us from sanctuary state drivers. They're allowing illegal aliens to have driver's licenses, and in this case, a CDL license. This guy brought third world driving practices to the Florida Turnpike, for God's sake. And this sounds harsh, but I'll say it. There's 3 more dead because of Joe Biden. There's no other way to look at it. Where did he go? Oh, he didn't enter in Florida. No, he entered in California, where they welcomed him and gave him a CDL license to go be a truck driver when he doesn't have any idea what he's doing. Just a brutal, terrible, horrific story. All right, let's see. We have time to take a quick call here, Mark, before I come. Yeah, okay. Let's check in with Wes in Gladstone. Hi, Wes. How are you today?
Yeah, hey, it just sounds like Fesco might have been right about the 119th and Knoll side. And if the Royals build there, then they're stupid because they should go to the Legends, man. That's where it's at. So
you think the Royals should be in KCK?
Yeah, I'm a Missourian. All I know is I don't have to pay for it unless I go to the game.
Exactly so right. Nobody does in either place. Right. All the offers on the table were only going to cost people that decided to go to a game. But It doesn't
user
matter.
tax.
It doesn't matter
yeah.
because you were going to spend it anyway. Everything you buy has a sales tax, so it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Yep. No, good call. It's not a factor. That was never a factor to me. And the Kansas deal was from the jump. The difference in a $2 billion stadium, okay, is what we say it was $400 million more in Kansas than Missouri. For the Chiefs or Royals to build a stadium, they'd get $400 million more from one state than the other. 70% versus 50%. Well, what owner's going to turn down the $400 more million? The answer's none. I think we're going to look back on all this and go, wow, this just was sitting there. It was just sitting there. What say you, Mark Van Sickle? What would you do if there was a Royals stadium at 119th and Mall? Would you go to more games?
I'd probably go to more games just because it's closer to me.
Yeah.
And closer to work. If there's a 1 o'clock game, just head out after work, go to a game.
We can't quite walk there from here, can we?
Not quite, but close.
We'll get some e-bikes, baby, and go down the sidewalks because you won't be able to get around the cars.
True.
Can you imagine the traffic in through there?
It'll be a little crazy.
Oh, my gosh. Can't even imagine.
But it could be exciting.
Does it excite you? Does it feel like a win? You're a Kansas resident. Does that feel like a win to you?
Yeah, I think having one and or both teams would be exciting for the state.
It'd be unbelievable for a state with the tiny population of Kansas to have a Major League and NFL team. There'd be no other state like it, honestly. Missouri's more than twice as big population-wise as Kansas, so that would be something else. The Royals are suddenly hot. They've won 14 straight against the White Sox at home. That's not relevant to the playoff chase here, but they're 5-2 in their last 7. They've won 5 out of 6. The last 2 games they've lost, they blew. They could be on a 7-game winning streak right now.
They should have swept the Nationals. They did sweep the White Sox. So if they take 3 out of 4 from the Rangers, they're going to be looking pretty good.
They will be. Here's the hard part, okay? The Royals are still 4 back. I feel like every time we talk about their 4 back, the Yankees have been on a tear now. So the 3 teams that are wild cards right now are the Yankees. They're 10 games over. Boston, 11 games over 500. And Seattle, 11 games. They lose last night?
Yeah, they lost to them.
So I think they're also 11 games over 500. I've said all along, you got to get to 10. One of these 3 teams will probably be 500 or below 500 the rest of the way. That's the one the Royals is going to have to catch. But the Royals are only 2 games over. So they need to be on a heater here. You're right. If they win 3 out of 4, they're now 4 games over.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go to Detroit, a team that just eats them alive.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
This weekend. There'd be nothing easy about it. But it is nice to see them playing better, isn't it? Nice to see them playing better. Mm-hmm. They got this Burger pitched pretty well again yesterday. I heard you and Pete talking about this realignment. I talked about it on my podcast today. The Royals and Cardinals in the same division would be awesome.
Yeah, no-brainer.
I don't think they'd make the Cardinals go to the American League. Don't you think that would be the Royals going to the National League?
Yeah, or I don't know if they'd call it the American National League still.
Exactly. They could change it. So pick the Royals, the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the Cubs. Put them all in a division. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.